So a little live coding video. So that is part of the new style here. I'm going to try to create more videos about coding, what I'm doing and so on. So I'm setting my system up here such as I can share more. I think this is something I want to do. I love it, and hopefully some will find that useful. So today what we're going to do is I'm going to make a library of a core util that I have, and I always use it everywhere. It's kind of this extension trait business. And so in my GenAI, so today we're not going to really code the GenAI, but in my GenAI, I have the support here. Oops, sorry, not on the test. And my support here. And again, my best practice is that support is kind of private to the crate or private to the module. And if I want something public, I call it utils. So that's the way it works. But inside my support, so that is private to all of the crate, I have this value extension. And this is super cool because it allows me to have the xget on a value, so it's a extension trait pattern. And what that allows me to do is I do a xget, but then it's convenient because it's just return the type that of whatever I'm asking. If I do a xtake, it's going to actually take the value, replace it with new, and then send me back the value. I will do a xremove later. Then I have the xinsert, which is also very cool because all of those here can take a name or a JSON pointer. So that is kind of the spec. And then I just implemented today in the GenAI a very cool stuff, which is the xwalk. And the xwalk is walking down all of the tree of my JSON, such as I can replace things. And I'm going to make another video about GenAI and why I needed that. And then after I have the other one, which is the famous xpretty, which is pretty nice because you just do a pretty print. And then we can debug very nicely and so on. So the goal here is to say, well, it's nice because, it's nice to have this kind of internal utils for me, and I do that often. But this one, I'm finding myself using it over and over again. And in fact, I was doing another feature here that we're going to code later, but in my support, this one here is very nice, actually, even the other ones for my test, the support of the test. And so kind of I decided, okay, now it's time to make it a real crate. And so rather to do that behind the back of people, I can do that in front of everybody. A little bit long video, but it's going to be okay. So the cool thing is, by design, I have all of these kind of things into a one file. And so that is the design of the support. Yeah? So I have my value trait over there. And then I have my implementation over here. And then I even have my errors there. So it's kind of pretty self-contained. So that is going to be relatively easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project. And I just created kind of a blank folder here, this one, and it's going to be the Rust. So that's my convention. I always have the Rust -value ext. And the first thing that I'm going to do is the famous git ignore. So I'm going to show you the whole thing of what I'm doing all the time. And then that is my Rust 10x extension. And so I have kind of two snippets for git ignore, and I'm going to take them more. So that will give me all of these kind of things here. So my convention is I ignore everything that starts with a dot, except the one that says so. Same thing for the dash, except inside source. And I have all these kind of things, and I swap this one there. So that is one thing that I do always first, because otherwise when I do a git init, it does this stuff. Then I'm going to do the famous cargo to ML. And here I have another one here, which is this one. And then I'm going to ML default. So now on the Rust name, I'm not going to prefix it with Rust. I did that long time ago. It's silly. So I'm going to do the value extension. So to be honest here, I'm a little bit aggressive because I check, crate.io, there's nobody that has a value extension. It will be perhaps nicer to have something like Serde value extension, but that would be wrong as well because there's multiple value. And my goal here is actually I'm going to do a value extension, and it's going to have multiple extension trait. One for the Serde value, probably one for the 2ML one as well, and so on and so on. So not for the database one, probably not, or CQuery and so on, but for those ones, I will do that. And right now, it's really the first one, so I don't like to start with 010. I do this one, which is kind of more kind of alpha kind of thing. One day, hopefully, we can do that 2024. And right now, I'm going to actually uncomment this one because I know that I'm relatively at the beginning, so I want to be flexible. Okay? Now, I can go back to the other code and I can see what I have. So obviously we don't care about this, and we care about perhaps these two, but actually, yes, we need the serialize here, the derive, and we don't need the RC. So we're going to take these two. I'm going back to, so now I am on my new repo here, and I'm going to save that, and I'm going to remove this. Okay, so that's good. Now I'm going to do a source lib.rs. So that is going to be our lib. Now I'm thinking a little bit here, and so I'm going probably, I'm going to have this library to have extension trait per value. I'm not going to try to be too smart and having one error for everybody and all this kind of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a mode JSON, and inside the mode JSON, and actually I'm going to make it public. Okay, so the goal here is to say we'll do a JSON, a value ext, JSON error, and JSON value ext, perhaps something like that. The other strategy will be to have the error on front of everything. I mean the prefix JSON in front of everything, which might work as well, but we'll do that for now. And then I'm going to have the test, because actually I had the test, so I'm going to have test JSON.rs. So that is where I'm going to put my test over there. And then this one over there, oops, I'm going to go back there. And so I'm going to take that, and I'm going to go back to my thing, and I'm going to have something there. In my head right now, just to explain here what is going on, is I'm saying, well, do I want to have people doing the value ext, JSON value ext, or do I want to have it explicit like that, to have something like this? And that is what to import. I might take that because that might be actually nicer. The consequence of that is that then it will probably be exported in the root of the lib, because otherwise it will be weird to have JSON. I mean, that's the whole point, is to have as a root. And therefore, there's a side effect. This one doesn't really matter actually, but I mean, that will be this one. And then question is, so this one doesn't have to be pub in many ways. And then the question is that this one here, we couldn't have error because we're going to have different error. So this one will be F2. It has to be public because people need to find it. And so we're going to have the JSON value ext error. So it's not super cute, but because there are kind of utilities here, and we're going to flatten them out, and that allows us to have the symmetry here between that and that. Because if we export JSON value ext, then it will be weird to have error being JSON : value JSON ext. And the nice things about exporting this one is that it's very clear when we see it, and then if we have a 2ML value ext, then fits well as well. Yeah, so we don't have conflict of naming in a way. And those are like really kind of sub-citizen or subclass errors. So it's fine that they're like that. And I don't want to just to say JSON error, because then it's confusing. We don't know if it's CAD or not. So right now I'm going to keep the custom. Eventually I like to get rid of those, especially in this case, because we don't need people to have custom errors because we are controlling the error. We have 100% control. And so I don't know if I comment it out, if it will work. And so right now I'm not, okay, that seems to compile. So if I comment this one out, does it complain? No. So I'm going to comment this one out. I don't need the custom for now. So that is going to be the one. I already have some tests over there. And so I had unit test because it was support in my GenAI library. But now those can be public integration tests, because they don't need to be the thing. So we're going to do that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to copy that. So that is kind of practice I like with the error. And in fact, here you don't really need, in this case, we don't need that. The other one, there's a reason why I'm putting it there, but, and then we go there. And then I'm going to take all of this up to here. We don't need that anymore. I'm going to keep the errors there for now, the section I'm in, but eventually I might split it. Well, we're going to keep it for now. It's small enough. Then that's it. So that is implementation. That is where the magic happens. And that is the definition of our stuff. So we're going to go back here and we're going to do that. Press save. Now that complains normal. Interesting. Oh yeah, that is another good reason why it's not. So what I don't want here in my library, just to explain, I don't want value ext to pop up on CRD.json like that, because otherwise we're always going to have to go down because this extension trait is a little toy in a way. And the big one is the CRD.json. So I don't want mine to be above like that because I type JSON or whatever. Yeah. So this is not something I want. Now, the good news is we're going to change that because we just made the decision that we're not going to have the sub package name. Yeah, we're going to have just the JSON stuff. So that is going to solve it. In fact, we're going to do it now just to make sure that is clear. So what we're going to do is we do that. And we're going to do, we can do a flatten like that. Pub mod JSON star. And this is wrong. So what we're doing here is we are defining our mod.json module as private. And then we're doing a pub use JSON. So that will kind of take it out. So that will flatten everything. Now these guys over there complain. Fair game. Kind of weird that before I didn't complain. With my code folding, that is a downside of it. Okay. So what we're doing here is there's kind of a from here that is not implemented. So the from JsonValue. So that is fair enough. So if we go, yeah, so that we have that everywhere. I just wanted to make sure that we had that everywhere. And so if we go to our error here, there's something that is missing. Oh, okay. So when I remove the things, everything was that. So we don't have the derive from. So that's why. And I'm going to remove this. I was a little bit over optimistic over there. And so the derive from, this is my best practices. I like it. So I'm back to my GenAI. I'm taking that. I hope that one day it's going to be out of beta, but it's very robust. So taking that. And in fact, I think that in the Rust 10x, I have a Rust other, and then boom, it will do like that, the from. Okay, so now we are going back there, press save, and then that works. Okay, we have 4 errors. Haha, we had a custom. So right now, this is the thing. Yeah, those guys will become full names. That's the way I like it. Yeah. So for example, here there's no reason to have a static string. I mean, I'm just doing it for convenience here, but eventually, and that was just internal, but that will become a full enum variant because I want to publish this kind of extension as fast. I mean, relatively soon. I'm going to actually change that. So I mean, I'm going to keep that. I mean, so the thing I'm going to do is a new custom string. So before it didn't compile, I think, or something. It was not in the path or something. So that's why nobody was using it. So the thing didn't go through the path. And so Now we had this, and now we have the same error as before. So what we can do is, right there, we're going to do setJSON. That is our setJSON. So the cool thing here, I'm sorry here, what I did a bit fast, there's no more value exe stuff, which I didn't want, to be there. I wanted to be away. Now, on this one, it should complain because we don't have the thing. So that makes sense. You say, hey, this is an extension trait, and now we can check. So we can do this convention here, it's fine. Or we can do this one. I go usually with this one, actually. And then that now works. And it works because everything works, because we had the value exe. So we're all happy now. So this is kind of a little bit a test here. And I have only 2 tests right now, which is just the insert and the value walk. Yeah, and I don't know why I have value walk away, because I have value insert. Those names here can change later. It's not really a big deal. So what I can do now is to go to my console, and I'm going to do a cargo watch test. So that is my alias. I'm going to put it there, and then I'm going to see if it works. Boom, it works. So that's pretty nice. So I think here, and I've kind of used it quite a bit, this library. So I think this is definitely at the 0.01 level. I'm going to put it there. Okay, so now also a couple of things. So one thing that I don't really like, at least at the beginning, is the doc test. Okay, so like this, when we do the doc, we have at least this guy here, and we don't have run the doc test. I don't know what is the first ones, but we have these 2 guys. That's good. And then after, I'm going to uncomment this one to make sure that there's no warning. I think I fixed some offline. And then we need to add the categories and all of this business. So usually what I do is I go to another project that is already in production, and then I copy paste. Data structure I think is fine. Those guys, those are not those guys. I'm going to cd JSON value utilities. I don't know if it's a good name or not. Okay, so now we have this, works pretty well. And I'm going to stop that. And I think this one here doesn't have the right I here, git ignore. And I'm going to do a git add or git init dot, git add, or I do a git status to make sure that everything is okay. And then it's good. So I'm going to do a git add, let's see, initial. That should be all good. Now, here's a trick here that I'm going to do, and I know it might be a taboo. I don't know if it's a taboo or not, actually. I'm going to use ChatGPT, because ChatGPT is awesome. I have Copilot, it's good for autocomplete, but for the rest, it's kind of so-so. So I like ChatGPT, I have ChatGPT 4, so I usually like to have temporary chat. And then I'm going to take this. Let me take my stuff. And I actually already did a pass, but just to show here. I'm putting that here. I'm going to say fix English and make all consistent. Okay, and I give the stuff. And that will basically kind of correct the English and make it so consistent. There's no reason whatsoever on planet Earth to not use these tools anymore. So, perhaps cursor is better or whatever, it doesn't really matter, but use them. This is almost, it's almost free. And then we have this kind of stuff, yeah? And we can use so many models. So I'm not saying it's OpenAI, but whatever we have. Now, the cool thing about that is we know that Rust is awesome about documentation, and the community is amazing. And me, I'm a little bit behind, to be honest. And so one thing I can do is, now that I get that, I'm going to say, and I can do a cargo test here to make sure that the crazy guy didn't break anything, but it's anyway, just the stuff. And then I'm going to say, can you generate documentation for the trait itself? And that will create the whole thing. So again here, I don't think there's a reason on earth to not use those kind of things. Okay, So now we can take that. So I'm going to take all of this up to there, and I'm going to paste it there, and I'm going to review extension trait, JSON stuff and things. This one could be a little bit shorter. This is why it's not really makes the following much shorter. So this is how we tune it to our taste. Yeah, I mean, the author, we, still the king. They are not. Okay, and now we have this. Okay, so that will be probably enough, provided it takes staff usage, and then it does the thing. And then it's actually, I forgot to copy all of this. That's kind of a good usage stuff. And again, I will need to write more or do anything more. It looks kind of okay. Here we could have put the example here before, but it's good enough. And then later we can do something else. Usually what I like to do is I like to have examples where I put my examples, and then I have a C01 simple, and I will have that. Probably to make sure that it compiles and stuff. But this looks pretty good so far. So git C, git status, cargo test, make sure nothing broke. And then I'm going to, so I have an alias to do git amend because I don't need to have something else at initial. That's kind of initial. And I think this is going to be it for today. That will be good enough. So that is a little bit my process and my things here that I released. And hope you liked it. Hope you like the new style. Feel free to send comment. In a way, I don't want to push too many videos. In another way, I don't get YouTube anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Perhaps even if it's useful to a handful of Rust developers, hey, we are the best, so that is awesome. Until next one, happy coding.